Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Let me give me an introduction first. My name is Arnav Goel and I am currently in third year in Triple IT Sonipat doing BTech in CS. Okay, so without any much further delays, let's start with the question. The question is from Codeforces problem E alternating. So let me read first. Sakura loves alternating strings. Okay, she was a string as Latin of okay, okay, and in the so like what she calls as alternative string is if characters in even position like 2, 4, 6, and 8 that the even position the characters are equal are same and same with the odd positions one characters or the string are same and the main condition think it or listen it and the main condition is that the length of the string has to be must be even. You can see the example that is AB is a paired string since it's an even and string and the odd positions characters are same and even position characters are same with G and G. But for strings ABA, since an odd length string, it is not an alternating string. Same with GGWP since even though it's an even length string, but odd characters are not same and even characters are not. Since we are a lucky friend of him, so what the operation we can do two operations so far. That the first operation is that we can choose any index and we can delete the ith character from the string, which will reduce the length by string. So we can just choose one character from the string and then delete. Uh, this is the main point. We can do this not more than one time. At most we can do it one time or we can choose any index that we can replace with some, we can choose an index and replace the character with some other character. Okay, this can be done any number of times. So we have to find the minimum number of operations required to make the string an alternating. So let's come to the input part. So we have test cases, we have n, that is the size of the string, and the string itself, and 2 into 10 to the power 5 is the sum of all test cases. Okay, so that comes to here. So since the test cases, uh, the n that can be maximum up to 2 into 10 to the power 5 for all test cases, 2 into 10 to the power 5. What can be the possible time complexities that we can do maximum complexity? Order of n log n. Not order of n square will not work since it will exceed our time limit. So this one is good, and this one is good. Or order of n or what lesser than order of n square will be work fine. So so what is important so far? We have to write it first. Then we can make observation on it. I will explain like for every question what we can think. We have to break question into subproblems and then move on then subproblem. So what is important so far? That is, we have some even strings or there may be some odd strings. That is the first thing that we can observe. And then another thing is that the string must be even. Third thing that we can choose, we can do at most one operation. We can do at most one operation for the first. We can do at most one operation uh, for the deletion part. For the deletion part of character and many more. We can we can write or we can just write in the notebook. So let us think first for the even and then for the odd. Since we have know that the string, we can make a partition like even we can solve for the even we can solve for the odd. So first of all, what this thing actually gives us an intuition and this thing too. String must be an even. So odd string has to be converted into an even string. And even string can be converted into an odd string and can be into an even string. But the catch is that at most one operation for the deletion part, you can delete only one character from the entire string. So what that means so far, string must be even, so odd has to be into an even, and even can be converted into odd and then to be even. But since division part can be only be done at most one, so even has to be an even since we cannot convert into odd because of not converted into an alternating string. It will be a not an alternating string. So this thing us that even is better to go first. Okay, so let's go for the even part. So let us suppose the string we choose for the even, that is ACDAD. From the test cases, that is ACDAD. Okay, so let us wait a second. This one is index one, this one two, three, four, five, six. So A must first index must be equal to 3 and third index, then fifth index. That is A must be equal to D and D must be equal to D. That is D equal to D. But they are has to be same. Okay. So we need to replace any of the factor. That is A can be converted into D and D can be converted into A. So which one you think we should do? We should do. Let us think that which gives us the minimum operation so far for the odd position. So A, D, and D are the factors that are present in the odd position of the string. So which one will give us the minimum? Since D's frequency is 2 and A frequency is 1, if we convert A to D, if we convert A to D, we have to do only one operation. But if we have to do D into A, we need to do two operations. So which one will you prefer to do? The one with the maximum frequency or one with the random frequency right now? Or we can say here for the here with the minimum frequency. Yeah, you are right. With the maximum frequency, sorry, with the minimum frequency. Sorry. Let me tell you again. With the minimum frequency, we need to convert it into a maximum frequency character. So what if there is an odd character too? That is C. So we need to convert A to D, C to D. So what we can do is to store we is to store a maximum frequency of of check that checks all the characters, and that will store the maximum frequency of that character. Here it's D, it's 2, and total characters present on that position, on that odd positions. Here it's so. Here it's so we will do 4 minus 2. That is the that is the minimum operation that we can do. In here, that is 2. So for the same, it will go with the even ones, like even position index for in a string. Let me explain for that too. Like we can see this like C, A, and A. Which one will you prefer to convert? Which one will give us the minimum option so far? That is convert C to A. So total answer for the even for this string is 2, and that will be the minimum since we are just converting the all the characters into the maximum frequency ones. Now you will get now it's a very simple greedy approach. Now come for the or part. That is little bit a tricky thing. Let him give let us this take this. I think it is a quite harder one to think. Like I think so. So or we need to use first option, that is the deletion of any of the character. But which one? The main question is which one? I think like for such of the problem that ask need to remove any character, it's better to iterate. Like if we remove this character, or if we remove this character, or if we remove this character, it's better to iterate to all of the position of the string of array. Yeah, it's string. So if we remove the eth character, the first eth character, the eth character, it is the first position. So what we will left with the string? J I P M Y Y J. Actually, earlier J was present at the second position, and that was even. Okay. Now it's shifted to the left, and what its position now becomes, it's one. It is like changing from even to odd. Same with I. It was odd earlier, that is third position. Then it changes. Like let me explain with the cursor. It changes. Like see, from the third position, it changes to the second position. It becomes from odd to even. Anything did you observe? May not be not now. Okay. So we just remove the EX factor. Now we will left with this. Now check. We will now check. We will now check like do the same thing that we have done for the even part. Okay, that we have done for the even part. That is J, B, then minimum operation so far, then plus. Since we have done the first operation. Now we come to the we if we remove this jth factor, that is the second position character. What would we left with? E I B M Y Y J E. Okay, okay. So we left with this. Now E remains the same, but the index, but the index that is greater than two, they some they alters, like even changes to odd and odd changes to even. So like we again just do this, like we have the string, and then we just iterate and then just plus only. Okay, but you will say, okay, it would be a slow process since we are doing it in order of n square. Yeah, you are right. Since we are doing it in order of n square, what if we can just do it in a simpler, in a lesser than order of n square? Is it so? Is it so? Like one of the thing that wanted to explain, if there is something that is related to that increase your time complexity. Okay, so what you can think, like what if I can store the things up earlier? I can store the things to reduce to move it again and again. If we can store the things in some data structure. So what? So like what I said, like if we can store things that we not need to move again and again to pre-compute and pre-compute and pre-compute. That would reduce our time complexity, but space complexity increase, but that would be lesser than like order of n squared time complexity. That is not a big deal then. So what we can just do, like first we will just make two vectors and store two vectors, that is for odd positions and even positions. Odd positions and even position, and store each of one's frequency. Let me first of all explain it like what we are doing. Then I will explain the whole of the intuitions behind it. Frequency. So E was one. At the odd, it would be stored as E equal to one, I equal to one, and M equal to one, Y equal to one, and U equal to one. I think I'm doing that. And even for J equal to one, and b equal to 1 and then y equal to 1. Like to explain it more better way, I'm like doing it in 10 way. Oh, let's we will do this. So we have stored that. Now we just iterate. We just iterate. Like if I remove the first character, right? The first character. If I remove the first character, that is E. Okay. So we need to store it somewhere. Like we need to store it somewhere. Okay. So where do we store? So we have stored that at here at the old two frequency factors. That is odd and even. So what we would do is to remove the E. First of all, we have to remove the current position vector from our for our stored odd and even vectors. That is E right here. We just remove first of all this. Now we would left with J I B M Y Y J Q. Okay, I know it's getting much hard, but if you go with the code, maybe you will go with the code, it would gonna be easy, I think. Okay, so let's we will left with JIBMMY. Stick with me. I know, like, just stick with me. Okay. So we know that now that even changes to odd and odd changes to even. So what do you think? Like, if if so, we just make sure that even changes even then becomes like even then becomes like behave like odd and odd behaves like even. Okay, we know that we have just pre-computed this part, and then we will just find out maximum frequency and minimum frequency, like in the 26 length area, the 26 length. Okay, you will get okay. So forget about time complexity right now, but we will just check again. Like we will just the even part that we have done, the same we will do for the even and string that part have been done. That's the same we will do for the this substring. Now move I to one. Okay, I just move from. Now he just remains state, and we just left with J has to be removed. Wait. Where was that? I will just wait and wait. Just paste and print. Now J has to be removed. So what we would be left with? EIPM. But we know that E has to be remains same. E has to be remains same. What we can do is rather than just moving from E, we can just store the E also, like the previous index that is same. We can just introduce two more vectors that is temp of plus temp eve and temp eve and temp odd. Okay, so E is now being at odd position, so we will just store in temp. Now we and then J remove from the our this from this vector even and odd, and the rest of the things just swap. That is just even convert to odd and odd convert to even. Just do this. Okay. Same with P, then do with P, and then do with M, and then you will just do this. And you just do this, and in answer, you will store out the minimum so far, it is ANS, and total operations plus one. Since plus one is done because we are removing at each and every character. Okay, maybe if you are thinking like if we remove the B, then what will happen overall? I will explain it to the core part. Okay. So first we will choose an N and then string S we just input it out, and then vector of Eve. So this one was even position frequency character frequency and or vector. frequency, and it's a 26 length uh, vector. We then just, if I percentage to equal to 1, equal to 1, then O of S of I minus A, that is, we just store them in O and say that. Then we just put partition n percentage to, and then we just partition n percentage to, that is the odd part and the even part. Let's come to the first of the even part. So calculate, we just move to the calculate function that takes odd and even vector. L1 here, L1 is saying, here L1 is your length of total character present in your odd position, and L2 for even position, and if maxi is the maximum frequency of the character present in even position, and of odd maxi is just for the odd part. So since we just move from I equal to 0 to I equal to 26, that if odd of I is greater than 0, or just for the units can be moved. But L of I length just in the odd characters 1, increase length L1 plus equal to odd of I, since length of total vector at odd position we just need to add, and for the odd maximum that we will store it in okay, sorry, that makes sense. Let's suppose E is your 5 and F is your 6. So L1 will become plus 5, then plus 6, that is 11, and 4 maximum equal to maximum of both of them, that is 6. Same with the even part. So we will comes out to be we will comes out to be for the odd one, that is 11 and 6. So we need to change E actually. That is how much, that is 11 minus 6. That is 5. That we need to change 11 minus 4 maximum, and same for the even part. That is, we will just return into a pair. We can return into a vector of just a pair. After returning the value, we just need to do even plus odd. That is, let's suppose, okay, so for the even operations and for the odd operation that needs to be replaced, the character that need to be replaced. So we just add and then just return our answer. So for the odd part, I know it's quite hard. It's easy to do, but it's hard to explain actually. The vector of I, that is, we just, that's I earlier told you, like vector of I even and vector of I or 26. I know then int n is equal to int maximum, that because we need to find the minimum. So we just iterate all over. So if I percentage 2 equal to this, odd of s of I minus of s of I minus 1 minus a minus 1. Okay, let me think. That is this one. So think this. Okay, so we need to remove e. Then that is, if we move to j, like as we move further and further, we just left with the remaining part of the substring, maybe part of the string. Then we don't care about this part, that because we need to replace odd with even and even with odd. So this part e and j, that is the left part, mm, so it doesn't interfere our the it doesn't interfere our main answer. So that's why we had to remove from the main frequency of the vector of even and odd. So if I percentage 2, then we just reduce by 1. Else, if I percentage 2 equal to 0, then we just go with, same with even vector frequency vector. So we have removed. Okay, so we have removed. So let's suppose E remove. So we have left with this. I think it's better to remove I. Maybe I better to remove I, because maybe you think like E. So I think better to remove. It's easier to explain for the whole. It's a generic part. Okay, it's a general part. So V of I of temp of what we are doing is hit here. Uh, we are just combining the previous one and the new one. I mean that like since we know that E and J are the previous one, that is remains same. That is remains state. That is remains same. But the change one, which one is changing? The rest of the part, that is E1 to O and O to E1. So we just make a total or overall total, that is temp of or and temp of even and temp of or of that jth correct of the jth of the jth, sorry, temp of or of j plus equal to the even e vector one and odd vector. Listen what I'm doing, let me, I will explain it more clearly. Okay this one is the overall change that is has happened. We will store into some a vector. Can you get it? Maybe you are not get it. Let me explain. Since we know that EJ remains stable, like EJ remains stable, and the character has been removed, and the left and the rest of the character will be have a splitting view, have a split view, like even to odd and odd to even. Okay, so we need something that stays that holds both of them. Let's hold both of them. So that one is temp of odd for the odd position. So the odd position. Okay, so that will be equal to what? That will be equal to what? So all those characters that has to be changed from odd to even, that is being changed from even to odd, will be stored, will be added, and same, and the odd one, that is the previous one, that remains state. Like let me explain. That is E as odd and wait, what we have removed? We have removed I. Okay, now we have removed I. So uh, I B M B M Y Y J U. So see it. So P was earlier what? So E was your odd, and J was your even. I has been removed, and what will happen? B. So B was your even. So B now becomes odd. See, now B becomes odd. So we need to add the even characters array frequency and the odd, that is E. That is the odd character frequency also. That is E here. So we just store it in temp of O and the same with temp of even, the same thing we will do. And what we have done with the even length string, the same we will do the new that is formed. That is temp of odd and temp of even. And then the answer will be equal. Then what we will get will be equal to, that is answer equal to minimum of answer plus the even position replacement factor and the operations that we used, and the same for the operation. And the plus one is done, as I have already told you, because of the first operation, that is the deletion part. After that, since we need to store it where, like I was saying that E was, we have to make E in somewhere, that is E state and J is state, like where we have to state, like we cannot add again in the main character frequency, that is O, OE and E, that is O and even. We need to store in somewhere. So we just like that's it. See, that is O. We just put them in our O vector and then put up them in the even vector after that, and then see out the answer. That's it. I know it's really hard to explain for me. Maybe you don't get it, but if you don't get it, just put the comments and I will explain it more clearly. Thank you.